Treasure Seekers. This is Blake coming to you live from New Mexico, and joining me as always from Washington State, it's Bryn. How's it going, Bryn?
It's just me. To address the obvious, Cody is not here. This is his second strike. He he is unfortunately out of state for a funeral, so he is unable to make the episode. Um, he was bookending his weekend with red-eye flights on either end, and then his flight just got canceled, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I can find a way to make it work." He was gonna really try. I'm like, just go get some rest. He hasn't slept in like days at this point. So, yes, unfortunately, he was just not able to make this one. So I'm sure you all understand. So thank you for your understanding. Um, how was your weekend, Blake? You had a puzzle race.
I did have a puzzle race. It went well. It was a partners race. There was a partners competition and a singles competition, but they were happening at the same time.
Oh,
I did the
same
partners.
puzzle?
No, two different puzzles, and
Okay.
they gave the harder jigsaw puzzle to the singles, which was kind of mean, but it was just the way that they had allotted puzzles. They didn't have enough, so anyway, we had an easier one. We did it in 40 minutes and 1 second. So that was our
Night for 500
PR.
piece?
No, for 300 piece.
Okay, nice.
But that was a 10-minute PR for us, so we were very
That's
excited.
awesome.
Yes.
How many races has your duo completed? Like for this PR?
Three at this point.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. We're seeing improvement, which is always a good thing.
Did you guys have a new strategy going into this one, or it was just, you think, flow state you've learned from previous races?
Flow state. My partner put her contacts in instead of wearing glasses.
Excellent strategizing. I like it.
But yeah,
That's great.
that was my only excitement for the week, I would say. About you, anything exciting happening? Are you just shuffling around your house?
Shuffling around, it was quiet. Yeah, on Friday at work, we had like a little book club session. No book in particular, but we all kind of just got on. We're like talking about the books that we're reading. So I was super inspired. I'm like, this weekend, Cody's out of town. I'm gonna do a bunch of reading. And then I just ended up doing a bunch of like treasure hunting stuff. So I did do a lot of reading. I read the Pokemon box, read the chapter that we're going to discuss. Yeah, I definitely got sucked into the world of treasure hunting, which I'm perfectly fine with, but I did not make like this huge elaborate dent in my stack of other reading that I was hoping to get through. But I did come across something else this weekend that, if you are a newer listener to the podcast, or if like you've joined the TTI hunt later on, then you might be unfamiliar. When the book first came out, it like sold out pretty quick.
Oh,
And so there was like all this demand for the book, and there was Blake was trying to find another copy. I can't remember why you're trying to find an additional copy, but Blake found this copy on Amazon. And he got scammed. There was these scams early on of like people posting things on Amazon that were supposed to be the book. And it's just this like flimsy little, it's a notebook is what I guess it is, with like lines the size that a kindergartner might use. This one does not print all. Anyways, I was just laughing to myself coming across this notebook once again, and I thought, we cannot let this, we have to keep remembering this, that you got scammed. So I have to know though, was like, you must have paid a good amount for this, because he would have thought it was like the hardcover price.
no, because it was advertised as a softback, and so and the
Oh,
reason it attracted me is because it was gonna arrive like 2 days earlier than the one I had ordered. So I was like, ooh, every day counts, which, as we've seen so far, it's been a year and a half now. Every day doesn't count. People that are buying the book today, I feel still have a really good chance of finding a box. But yeah, I got sucked into the moment and was like, ooh, I didn't know they were making a softback version. And so I bought that as well as my hardback version.
Oh, it's so funny. Just the distorted aspect ratio just squeezed on a random little flimsy notebook.
Yes,
Anyways, I just thought that needed to be addressed now that it's a year later.
you got me.
Oh, what else?
You
What
got
else do
me.
I have? Um, I almost put this in news, but I was like, we can't do this to the news section. If you've updated your iPhone or you're going to be updating your iPhone soon, there are new emojis coming out. And have you seen these new emojis, Blake?
No, I've not received
First of
a
all,
siren emoji from you, so I didn't know there was new ones.
first of all, there's a Bigfoot emoji coming out, which
Oh,
I feel like is a win. But also, there's going to be a treasure hunt emoji, a little treasure chest.
oh, nice.
So send that to all your treasure hunting friends. Use that on Discord. I feel like that's gonna be a hit to have a treasure chest. I'm excited to use that.
Good, good. Is it the lion's share box?
I need to look at it. It's probably a much more generic treasure chest, but
Sure. All right, I'll be
I thought that was
expecting
gonna be pretty fun.
a text from you with the one that you
Yeah.
the slap one, and then that fills up the screen with treasure chests. I'll be using that. All right.
You'll know I found a treasure box when I send you the emoji. No, I put off my updates as long as possible because I have a very old iPhone and I don't want it to break sooner than it has to. So I don't have it yet.
All right. Let's dive into the news. All right. Couple pieces of news from Matthew Hobbies. I guess it could fit into Discord Detectives, but we'll just put it as news because I think it's important. Matthew Hobbies has kind of caught up to us in terms of chapter content in the last couple weeks. He's done a chapter 10 and a chapter 11 review, and I've held off watching those until we've posted our episodes because I don't want to get biased from his content.
Yeah.
But in review of those two episodes, I think there's two great resources to point out that Matthew Hobbies is reporting. Obviously, I'll put the links to both of those videos down below. First one was from his chapter 10 analysis, where he didn't find too many interesting things, in his opinion, in the chapter 10, which is the Jackie Onassis diamond brooch. So what he did is he took some time to do a handwriting analysis. So it's very painful that Cody's not here right now to hear this, but
Oof.
I'm sure. I think I texted the group text, so he knows about it. I don't know if he's reviewed it yet, but I'll be interested to hear if he's poked around at that yet. But Matthew Hobbies does have I think a Google sheet that has snapshots of every single handwritten letter from the subtext of each chapter title. So you can go in, look at the spreadsheet that he's created, and do your own handwriting analysis based on that resource. So extremely valuable.
Nice.
Extremely valuable. The other thing he did for chapter 11, the Shipwreck chapter, not necessarily a resource, but something to report out, is he did find the stock image that was used for the background of the ship AI image. So we have like the ship, we have the waves, the birds, and things like that, which we are in agreement is an AI generated image. And then the background of that page, he has identified the exact stock image that was used for that one. So kind of the brown coloring, we can assume at this point, I think there's no hints necessarily in the background of that image based on
Nice.
the stock image that Matthew Hobbies discovered.
Awesome. That's a great find. I had also this weekend, I had realized like on the back of the book is that image as well. And I was like, oh, I can't believe we didn't think to like cross-reference those. And so I quickly did and didn't see anything notable. So I don't think we missed anything too big there.
Okay, good. A keen eye. All right, do you have any news?
Yeah, I just want to call out that if you want to jump on Uncharted collectibles, they have the new coin going live. So I'm just going to read their email here. We're excited to announce the official launch of our next puzzle coin. The puzzle is linked to the official Seeking Treasure Con coin, which if you don't already own, you can purchase at the link below, and that is unchartedcollectibles.com. Anyone who previously bought or now buys the coin will get a PDF puzzle emailed to them on April 4th. The puzzle can only be solved with the coin, and the coin can only be solved with the puzzle. $500 cash prize to the winner. So if you're looking for a little, I don't know, quick hit to try to get something more instantly gratifying and a little bit more obtainable right now as you're working on TTI, that could be a fun one to check out.
Awesome. Quick correction from last week from me. I had reported a new Substack that I don't think the Substack is new, but new to me. That was, I reported it as Beyond the Map. I believe that's the username, but the Substack name is There's Treasure Inside a Solver's Journal. So just a small correction there. And since we're on the topic of Substacks, I can't afford all of them, but I did come across Jenny's from Mysterious Writing. She has a really great Substack as well. So anyway, Substack seems to be rich with There's Treasure Inside content now. Some of the posts are free, some of them are subscribed. I have to kind of pick and choose which ones I'm subscribed to, so we'll see. But I'm throwing out options depending on what you prefer. Check them out. Subscribe to the ones that you like. Right.
Nice.
Should we do a What's More Likely?
What's more likely?
Bryn, you have a What's More Likely for us?
I have a user submitted What's More Likely from Brian. He says, what's more likely? The Pokemon box could be outside of the perceived search area or definitely in the perceived search area. He also asked for what percentage. So I guess first of all, we need to define perceived search area. So I think I would generally say Southeast USA, or I think the main thing in question, well, this is probably bigger than that question too, but the main thing in question is like how far north to go, right? So I think for the sake of this, let's say Southeast USA, not too much farther north than the Ozarks as the perceived search area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say it's more likely in the perceived search area. And in my mind, the perceived search area is Statesville, North Carolina, some path south to New Orleans, then to Houston, up to the Ozarks. I know it says past the Ozarks, so it could go, I would say, maybe up to the northern border of Arkansas, and then kind of a straight shot east back to North Carolina. That's in my mind, that's what the perceived search area is. It sounds like you want to go a little farther north than that.
Yeah, I think I would at least go like halfway up Missouri. Feels like very much with the perceived search area to me, just especially with past the Ozarks.
Okay.
Do you have a percentage confidence that you would be like it is in this region of the country versus either wildly north or somewhere else entirely?
I'd say like 95% confidence. I would argue that Habeas Treasurists up in Indiana is probably too far north. You watch some of his videos about Larry Bird Um, I think that's a little too far north, in my opinion, even though he has, like, as usual, his quality of videos and evidence is very intriguing. I
Mhm.
think that's too far north with high confidence, in my opinion.
I'm probably at like 85% that it's in that region. And I think the main thing being, and we kind of, Blake and I had a little Pokemon box session, Zoom session last night. We're working on some stuff. And then my main thing is like, at some point, there's just got to be some things that are like straightforward enough to at least get you to the right region, to be able to get you into the right state. Like, I feel like sometimes I look at all these clues that I have found as very specific. Oh, this has to be like this one specific trail. Like, not everything's pointing to one trail. And so I think at a certain point, some things have to be a lot more obvious than the others. And I think to me, it feels unfair for it not to be within this region of the road trip that he's describing. Like, if he released the solve, everyone would be like, well, that was very misleading. And I think at that very fundamental level, that has to be something that is at least honest isn't the right word, but like he's got to get us there somehow, right?
Be too misleading not to
Yeah, it
be
feels too
on the
misleading.
path, not to be on the path that he specified in the
Yeah.
chapter. I agree with that. Yeah. But
Yeah,
nothing.
I can certainly see a world with that. I'm not ruling it out, especially when we don't have any solves revealed yet. It's like, who knows? Maybe he's off the rails and nobody's aware of this yet.
Right, right. All right. We dive into horseshoes and hand grenades. Bryn, you have horseshoes and hand grenades today. Something I'm very excited about.
Yeah, well, don't get too excited. I feel like it's a little lackluster, but what I did was so when we talked through the shipwreck chapter, there's I think I would say a very obvious X in the water that looks like it was added by Jon Collins-Black. And so that brought up the conversation of, well, it seems like there's X's in a lot of these images. And I think all along we've been keeping an eye out for them and trying to figure out, well, what does this mean? And so last episode we had talked about, well, what if you put like tracing paper over, because these are all 8.5 by 11 pages. If you put a piece of tracing paper and you just marked where each one was, and then at the end, does that create something? So, I feel like people are gonna have something to say about this, which is good because I don't know if I went about this the right way, but I think I based what I interpreted as an X as a as an obvious X to me.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely could have missed some, or people might perceive obvious X as other things. So I'm not saying this is like the end all be all of X's in the images by any means, but I just decided like the X in that shipwreck chapter feels so obvious, and then like the X's in the saloon feel so obvious as another example that I don't want to go too deep into trying to make something an X if it doesn't obviously feel like it should be an X. So I did that exercise, and I feel like this idea is bolstered by the fact that we have this huge X on the cover of the book. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's something to these X's, right? We also have that weird pickaxe and shovel X that's on the cover as well, and like that big introduction page. And what else do I have to say? I don't know, more disclaimers about what I'm just showing as X's because I feel like there's also not enough. I saw in Discord someone was like, there's an X in every single picture, which I certainly did not see that. And this is like also no X's in
Photographs.
image in photographs, right? So I have one instance of an X on like the border that has like the AI pattern, but textured the textured pattern of the image, the border.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, the X's are all from like the AI images of is what I included.
Okay.
So
That
if you want
that's
to pull up the first picture, if there's anything you want to say, go ahead.
no, I mean I think that seems like a very reasonable starting point before you add more complexity, right? Just take what you consider to be the most obvious X's and start there
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Okay. So here's my overlay. I'm gonna see if I can track what I did here. So page 32 is my first one, and that is the
Ring.
ring. It's a photograph of the ring, but then it has the border, and I feel like there's a very distinct X in the border of that image. So that was my first one. And from there, it goes to page 54. I thought there was a pretty convincing X in the Chivor Forest, that green smoky
Mm-hmm.
image.
Yep.
I believe from there, we go to page 73, Amelia's plane. So on the tail, there's like a very obvious cross. So I'm taking that as an X. And then from there, I think I jumped down to the bottom of this page.
Shipwreck.
101, the shipwreck. And then let's see, I jump
One
up to
on.
page 109 with the saloon. And there's like two, I feel like, are super obvious on the horse, I guess, like
Mm-hmm.
on the head and then on the chest, there's a smaller one. So I did two little X's there. Jumping back down, I believe it was page 120, the basketball image.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pretty defined like star X burst. And then the last one was
This
page 170, and that's where there's like shooting stars. And one of those I feel like is a distinct X as well.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with this first pass
Okay.
of X's. So then, what did you do with it after this?
So I mean, it's kind of interesting that it's a bit of a little circle and egg. I don't know. So I connected the dots in order of page number to
Okay.
see if that was anything of interest. So the next image is the connect the dots. And I'm not reading too much into this. If anything, it just looks like random lines from maybe the Art Smith dancing
Hmm.
chapter. So I put it into AI. I'm like, does this look like a constellation? And the best guess that it gave me was Orion's belt. And I would say that is a stretch. Orion's belt is certainly more of like an hourglass shape.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know. Does this look like anything to you?
No, it's just a bunch of what's that rune symbol? The Wenjo or the Wunjo? But that's just
No
because
more runes.
it's triangular. Whenever you do a connect the dots, so no, I
Yeah,
don't see anything obvious here. One question is, did you try to overlay this on the Hopi calendar?
I did not. No,
Okay, okay, so that might be a good next step.
that was even my recommendation, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Nope, I did not do that. And maybe part of my problem is I couldn't find my tracing paper. I lost all my tracing paper after I did my, remember when I did all the outlines of the borders in the book?
Oh yeah.
They're somewhere, but maybe I need to relocate tracing paper, do this again, and then overlay it on the Hopi calendar.
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be interesting just to see if you get antler again.
Yeah.
No, this is super
Yeah,
cool.
so
I like the approach. I'd be curious, like you said, for finding other instances of X's that people have found. I mean, I like your idea of doing it in page order that it appears in the book. I'm wondering if once you get one copy of this that's clean, if there's other ways that you could connect the dots to make a different pattern. I don't know
mhm.
what the rhyme or reason would be, but maybe you could see something else out of this. I don't know, but this is a good activity for sure. Nice.
I do like the idea of them being like relative to each other in a certain way
Mm-hmm.
because they do feel so random when they are in their images themselves. So yeah, I think I like the concept. at least comparing the location on the page to each other. I had one other note about shapes and images.
Hmm.
So as I was going through the images, I feel like I kept coming across like little, calling them like horseshoes, essentially, U's almost.
Hmm.
I first was noticing it in the green Chivor image. I think the most prominent example, if you want to see what I'm talking about, would be in the picture, the AI picture of like the man diving out of the way. And I'm sorry, I don't have the page number
Yeah,
readily available, but like the picture of that man diving, it's so weird and out of place on his upper right shoulder, I think.
yeah, page 177. This one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Let's see.
doesn't that just seem like it's really weird to have that little U there? And I think what maybe is also intriguing to me is we have that weird cup shape on the magnifying glass too.
Hmm. Yeah, I know somebody had pointed out like an A and a U on the bottom of the shoe of the kid doing the layup.
That's right.
So there's maybe another instance of the U there. That is interesting that you're coming across that. I liked the AU, and I think Cody had pointed this out in a Discord detective as being the symbol for gold.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, you're not coming way out of left field for that. But it is prominent in that picture for sure.
Yeah, so I think that could also be a little interesting side quest as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Also potentially with our arch our arch theme, it is a little bit of an arch too, so
Arch
who
theme,
knows?
arc theme. Definitely an arc. Okay. Well, I'm gonna take a stab at this as well. I'm very, very intrigued by this. We consider that if you didn't have any of the images, as was described in the Q&A section, it would be hard to solve the lion's share. So there has to be something. I mean, unless it's just that Hopi calendar image, and JCB is considering that Hopi calendar image as being critical, feels like there's going to be more than that for sure. We just have to figure out what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think all of the images, maybe not all, but I think the majority of the images are probably very important.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree that majority is some. But let's see. Let's pull that thread. Continue our investigative journalism on that.
Perfect.
All right. Should we dive into mailbag?
Yes.
Mailbag, mailbag, mailbag. We've got mail.
Bryn.
Okay, let me see here. Adjusting my windows. First one is from an anonymous sender. And I don't know if this was a typo, but I like it if it wasn't. He said, Brim was talking about finding the goat. So BRIM, which very much could just be a typo, but I like it for brimmed to the rimmed. So there's a connection with chapter 15 that was missed. I don't know if you knew how GOAT started. So that would be like acronym GOAT, greatest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
In 1992, Muhammad Ali's wife, Lonnie Ali, started a company called GOAT Inc. The name stood for greatest of all time, which Ali often called himself. They used a goat logo connecting the animal with the phrase. So we had another, Muhammad Ali connection in the book as well. So I thought that was kind of a really cool roundabout connection to goat as well.
Right. So you had pointed out the goat piss rum, right, as being kind of out of place. Been mentioned before that the Muhammad Ali section overall is kind of a one-off and could have easily been removed from the book. Why did JCB put that little vignette in there about Muhammad Ali? throwing his medal off the 2nd Street Bridge. I also liked the Muhammad Ali section because of the butterfly, right? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, bee on a pistol, the butterfly logo. Is that why he put that vignette in? And now this additional connection about goat, because we do have the goat being mentioned a number of times in, I want to say chapter 21, I think, about kind of all the Greek/Roman mythology. There's a section about goats in there. So do we have a new goat theme to follow up on?
Goat theme. I also, the line in that chapter, horny as a goat. And I went back and revisited it. I'm like, that is so out of place within the context of the rest of the book. And I was like, what a great argument for antler, right? Like, I think that's pretty good.
I don't know about, just thinking about it right now, I don't know if antler is the terminology I would use for a horn on a goat, right? But if it's a horn connection, an antler is a type of horn, I like it going that direction. Okay. But yeah, when we started having this discussion a couple days ago, I was like, well, didn't he say greatest of all time in the Michael Jordan chapter? I don't think it's ever mentioned specifically. It's kind of implied, but it's not explicitly said Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. But now that we have just read chapter 12, what did he say at the very end? The man who embodies the opposite. He is the epitome of calm, cool, and collected. He is the best basketball player who ever lived. Not the greatest of all time, but I don't know. So I don't know if there's a there, but you're right. 2 instances of goat being kind of out of place, plus the Muhammad Ali goat theme is something we're going to have to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, goats definitely top of mind at the moment. Okay, next one is from Chet. So in the Shipwreck chapter, we were talking about how odd, different this narrative is that starts out the chapter. Chet said, early on, around March 2025, I found out that pages 102 to 105, so the beginning, that narrative section, up to the 3 items was lifted verbatim with very minor cosmetic adjustments from the narration of an AI video I stumbled upon titled 1752 Lost Galleon Shipwreck. They lost it all. I just made a note to not pay attention to that part of the chapter. The video resurfaced later under another title, 1752 Captain Francesca's Galleon, Lady of the Light, $20 million treasure shipwreck. And he put the link in there, which is now broken. He said both videos have been deleted since, and I believe this is a result of a settlement with whomever had posted it. I wish JCB came clean about the unfortunate incident so no one is misled. So this is obviously, his interpretation of why those videos are gone. It's the only instance of non-original text in the book, to my knowledge, FYI. So we have no way of confirming this at this point. Like if those 2 videos links are dead. So we just have to take his word for it here. But I think, it's interesting that he claims that there was a source for that narrative early on.
Really? Interesting. Okay. Well, it might be worth trying the, have you ever used the internet Wayback Machine?
No.
Okay. So there is a web scraper that collects collects at the time over the course of history web pages. So maybe there's still evidence left in the Wayback Machine for that original video, because I'd be really curious to see. Be really curious to know, and maybe Chet knows, what the date was on that video. It wasn't clear necessarily from his email, Chet's email, that that AI video was pre-release of There's Treasure Inside. I'm assuming that's the case based on why he sent this email, but that's interesting. Because you could imagine that it was an AI video created after the release of the book that copied JCB's text. So I'm curious about the order there.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, but maybe since he includes like the hyperlink here to what was that video, that might help with kind of tracking down what would have been this video.
Or forward that on to me when you have a chance, and I'll do some investigation and report back. Super interesting.
Yeah, and if that is the case, I would love to know the details of like what does entail the very, very minor cosmetic adjustments. So
goat piss rum.
Yeah. Maybe goat piss rum. Okay. Else. This is from Erik. He said, I have one observation about chapter 11 that I don't think any of you mentioned in this episode. I find it curious that when the strong Pampero storms are described, it is stated that the winds can reach up to 180 kilometers per hour. Why kilometers? In at least 2 other instances in the chapter, distances are described using miles. Why switch to kilometers? Could the 180 number be important and thus be used instead of, say, approximately 112 miles per hour?
Interesting. That's a great observation. My initial gut reaction is that JCB or his researcher pulled information about wind speed from a resource elsewhere, and it was just listed in kilometers per hour, but easy enough to do the math and say 110 miles per hour. So that's a good point. Maybe the 180 is significant.
90
plus 90 is
page 90.
180.
Yeah. I mean, if 90 is like our one literal confirmed clue in the book.
Right.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And 180 would be the number of degrees in a triangle. I think that's right. My high school geometry is failing me right now, but I think that's right. So how many
Math.
degrees in a triangle? Showing my 180 degrees in a triangle. I love the triangular numbers, right? I don't know. It's an interesting observation. Thank you, Erik. I like it.
Okay, last is from Cascade. This is about pickles.
Okay.
So in chapter 10, she thinks a theme is pickles. So if you remember back to chapter 2? Chapter 2, yes, Jon says something about being in a pickle, which was weird. So then back here in chapter 10, she says sweet and sour, which we were like, is this Chinese food? What is happening here? But yeah, sweet and sour is totally pickles. She says sweet and sour, bitter, picky, and preserved. So you could certainly relate. I mean, I'd say picky is probably the stretchiest of those, but you could certainly make an argument for all of those being a tie to pickles. And so she said, also, given the way it is written, I think we're supposed to research the White House Historical Association. Maybe there is a pickle/preserved reference in there. So if you remember in the Jackie Onassis chapter, it talks about like how she did this work with the Historical Association, and it's available to anybody to research if you so are inclined, or something along those lines. And she said, actually, this reference is pretty quick to figure out. I believe it refers to the pickle, P-I-C-L, which I just learned is the president's black book they receive each morning. And this was started by JFK, which is pretty coincidental for the chapter.
That's the president's intelligence
Checklist.
President's intelligence checklist, the pickle. I mean, it's interesting because there is this story supposedly about JCB when he bought the olive jar from the Forest Fen treasure, that he called it the pickle jar, right? And he re-emphasized.
I didn't even think about that.
He re-emphasized that at the Q&A by making a joke about the pickle jar again. I don't know. Is it coincidental?
I do think I feel like there's got to be something with the note about if it's open to anyone to do this research now. It feels like anytime he gives us one of those little carrots, we're supposed to chase it. So I like that it had a connection to this.
You're saying in the Jackie Onassis chapter, there was a note that you could do some research. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, with the White House Historical Association. I think the thing that I'm not loving is that the pickle reference itself is in chapter 2. If that was in this as well, I'd be like, sure thing. I still think it's pretty cool.
Agreed. I like that investigative work. Huh.
And it's another explanation for sweet and sour than just Chinese food.
Sweet and sour followed by fortune.
Followed by fortune. Fair enough.
Okay, that's interesting. All extremely interesting mailbags per usual. Nice work, everybody. Right. Should we do Puzzle Corner? My favorite soundbite. Puzzle Corner. All right. Puzzle Corner today. Let's see. I don't have my Puzzle Corner book out, and now I have to find it. So we're gonna stall a little bit of time so I can find the exact reference. I'm sorry, everybody.
That's okay. I do like wherever you're going with this, though. So if you're just listening, Blake has a list of letters up with like somewhat rune-looking symbols to represent the letters.
You know it's going to be a magnifying glass. Let's go. Yeah, so you're right. Those do look like runes. What I have on the screen is actually called Moon Script, I believe.
Oh, cool.
And it's a script that's used by the blind that's a little bit, I don't know, easier to read than Braille, let's say. Is kind of how it was explained in the chapter. And of course, I'm failing this horribly. One thing I forgot to prepare for the episode. Anyway, it's a chapter about codes. It kind of has a lot of our, here, I finally found it, crafting a coded message.
Nice.
Code puzzles have become the backbone of puzzle hunts everywhere. And again, this is from the book Puzzle Craft, How to Make Every Kind of Puzzle by Mike Selinker and Thomas Snyder. Important thing about this is that a lot of the Mr. Beast puzzle clues that happened over the past few months were developed by this authors of this book. So code puzzles have become a backbone of puzzle hunts everywhere. Codes aren't the same as ciphers, like cryptograms that follow this section. Those require interpretation and logic. Codes are predictable patterns. So the puzzle is about recognizing the source and translating the message. So they give a variety, a whole table in the book here. And I know I have a screenshot of it somewhere, but maybe not on this presentation. But there's letters A through Z, and then a whole bunch of columns for different types of code, different types of codes. So the first one is the NATO alphabet. I think we should keep in mind. It's like Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, etc. Letters as numbers, so A equals 1, B equals 2, like the most basic. There's an interesting one here about ASCII characters, ASCII. That's kind of like the way to translate bits and bytes in a computer into letters. And so there's an ASCII code for A, which is 65, 90 is Z for a lowercase letter, or for an uppercase letter, And then A through Z for ASCII lowercase is 97 through 122. So something to keep in mind for that range of numbers, 65 to 122, would there be an ASCII translation? And then there's binary, Morse code, which I think we've talked about before with the dashes and dots, Braille, and then there's semaphore, which I've talked about before in trying to translate the symbols on the magnifying glass. That's the one where if you have flags in your hand, they use it for boat-to-boat communication. So I was happy that I had tried that one before. But then the new one at the very end of this list is called Moon Type, Moontype, and that's what you're looking at on the screen right now. Of course, I tried to connect Moon Type to the magnifying glass, and this is what I came up with as my closest matches. And I think I like these matches quite a bit, even though they don't really spell anything that I can discern. But I've always had trouble with these two symbols on the left of the magnifying glass, kind of at the 8 o'clock position, I would say, that are kind of like a greater than sign or a less than sign. These are the closest proxies I've found to being translatable, in my opinion. So you can see here on the left, the M looks like this kind of 90-degree turn, and upside down is the L. So ML, the cup, upside down cup at the bottom of the magnifying glass maybe isn't as satisfying, I would say, because it's definitely very rounded in Moon Type, where it's very angular on the magnifying glass. That would be translated to a W. The kind of lightning bolt symbol on the right side of the magnifying glass also isn't all that satisfying. You can see that there's kind of two options, either a Z or an N, but they're not really an exact match for that symbol. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like almost like the inverse of what it needs to be, right?
Right.
In a way.
It is, and it's, yeah, there's not like a central angle that takes place on the Moon Type, where the lightning bolt is very straight across, straight down. This one has like a diagonal in the Moon Type, and then R, kind of just this straight line, which I liked. So my first translation using Moon Type for the magnifying glass is MLWNR. Question mark, question mark.
I love that there was even like a method with moon. That's super cool.
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I think the most troublesome, I would say, is the cup shape that we're making a W here because of the very distinct angles. I mean, this is probably like the best translation shape to shape that I have seen us try, though.
Yeah, I was excited about the left side of the magnifying glass, and then it kind of got worse and worse as I go across. Now I'm hijacking this thread for more magnifying glass talk, but yeah, let's hear what you have to say.
Oh, just quick. I mean, this is a little off topic, but have we thinking about how angular these are versus the rounded edges in this code? Like, I wonder if there's any world where like we're supposed to be doing something with the coins here, because the magnifying glass is round, the coins have all these angles. These are all very angular. Like, could we, if you kind of picture putting a coin in the middle of the magnifying glass, and are you supposed to do something with it? And I don't know. Just a thought, thinking through angles.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, I'll throw that in my next magnifying glass analysis.
No pressure, just...
No, it's a great thought.
Just interesting.
Great thought. Yeah, no, I've tried to connect it to the Hopi calendar before. Kind of interesting patterns, but nothing solid that I feel confident about. So as I started working on the moon type, then I started looking at other things too. So Elven script. I don't know if you've watched Lord of the Rings before, Bryn.
I actually have only watched Lord of the Rings when I got my wisdom teeth taken out in high school. So
Anyway, this is a fairly popular Elven script, and the reason I would even bring this up is because of the Andvari's ring at the very end of the book, talking about Andvari's ring and it being inspiration for Lord of the Rings, right? So there's a couple of interesting symbols that could look elvish.
yeah.
But nothing, in my opinion, as good as the moon type. There's just always a gap somewhere. Like in this case, the upside down cup. I mean, do we consider it this E here? Probably not. There's the Surth version of the symbols, so I kind of liked this CH symbol as being the very far right of the magnifying glass, but beyond that, I just don't see really great connections. Could be like a T and a TH and a CH, but then where's the lightning bolt symbol, right? Just don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm maybe leaning away from it being something that's like supposed to be character to character translation and it being something more directional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How that's helpful, I do not know, but
Yeah, I feel like I'm running out of.
yeah, it almost seems like since they are like positioned on a circle in that way.
Mm-hmm. They have to make use of the circle, their position somehow.
Yeah, I gotta use the position somehow as well.
Okay. No, I could buy that. And then finally, Old Norse. I do like this one a little bit more.
Right.
Here you can see the upside down cup, and I'm looking specifically at this middle row, which is the Norwegian version of these runes. That would be like a U. The straight line, I'm not sure for the very right hand symbol if it's supposed to be just a straight line or like this A symbol based on the coloring. That would be like I or J or E or R. And then there is like a clear lightning bolt symbol in this one.
Nice.
Stands
That's
for
a good
an
one.
S or an X. Interesting X. But if you do the lightning bolt symbol right next to the other symbol that was added, that would say solar, like solar eclipse.
All the fire references, the ball of flame in the sky.
Yeah, I think that's just coincidence though. Anyway, I've been going down the rabbit hole of the magnifying glass again, as you can tell, and nothing too interesting to report other than it matched up. Puzzlecraft gave me the moon script.
No, it's good. I think it's a good use of time. I mean, we spend so much time just trying to dissect what is a clue, what isn't, and this feels something very clear and obvious as a clue. So I think it is worthy of investing the time.
Okay, thanks.
You get my support.
All right, should we dive into chapter 12 notes for today?
Yeah.
I gotta get reorganized again. So, chapter 12 is the Gold Rush chapter, and it is called verbatim Massive Gold Rush Nugget. Make good choices. Do you want to start? Do you have your nugget list handy? Do you have your massive nugget?
I've got massive nuggets. I can start because, well, I guess first we should start with the photo, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can pull that up real quick.
Okay.
Good point. All right. So here's the photo. I know you had mentioned this horse at the very top of the image having a couple of clear X's that you captured in your tracing approach. Is there anything else that you liked about this? And I do have a zoomed in first picture.
Awesome. Yeah, this if you're wondering about what I'm calling a clear X, these are two clear X's in my interpretation. Yes, I mean this is obviously like a very AI photo. Like there's a lot of just weird AI garble in it, but we are now at a point where we're very much not just dismissing an image because it is AI. So, oh man, I feel like the two most distinct things are those X's on the horse and the weird table scene,
Mm-hmm.
card table, I guess, at the forefront of the image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've mentioned before that it kind of reminded me of a Chicago skyline. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I finally pulled a picture of Chicago skyline here for you to take a gander at.
Yeah, so what's two? I'm sorry, is that like
I know I have like a numbered version here, but I don't have the key. I think that's the
that's okay.
Sears
Sears
Tower.
Tower?
Yeah. And so that one is what made me think of this kind of tallest building on the table here on the left.
Yeah.
And then the other building that's most prominent when I think about the Chicago skyline is 17 here. And I don't know what building that is, but it kind of has the diamond face on it that kind of sticks up. It's not really an exact match, but it kind of looks like this walkie-talkie like building
It is
here.
pretty good.
And then you kind of have two other tall buildings, which could represent 21 and 22, or 21 and 22, but it's a really the most stretchy thing we've talked about today. But it's really just the Sears Tower.
I mean, like that scene in general, like what is AI trying to accomplish there if it's nothing else? I mean, like, is it supposed to be stacks of chips and drinks? Because if that, like, for it to be so forefront in the image, I think it would have done a much better job making that into what it needed to be than just this weird scene.
Yeah.
It's gotta be something.
I think it's like meant to be some glasses on the table, drink glasses on the table. That's my gut reaction, but I don't know. It's AI. It could be anything.
Yeah, this whole picture in general is just like so wonky, which I think is why it was pretty easy to dismiss the first time around. But there has to be something to it.
Yeah, it just seems like JCB did a pretty good job, I would say, generating the other pictures, and this one is almost out of place in terms of not having faces, which at the time he was doing these images probably is early generative AI images, and it wasn't good at hands, it wasn't good at faces. But why would he be satisfied with this picture? I would ask.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seems the most AI. I mean, we know Matthew Hobbies did his AI analysis and like they all ranked pretty equally other than that basketball photo as just being like strongly AI.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just feels like this one is a slippery slope if you try to start making too many things into something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I agree. All right. So we don't have anything too solid, just speculation and more questions about that image, I would say, from the unofficial perspective.
Yeah, I would say the X's are for sure. I would give that a strong stamp of approval from me at least. Given that we have the other X's in the book as well. Okay, let's start out with the first line in the chapter. Before tens of millions of people migrated to California. So migrated jumped out to me because we've made our connection to the monarch butterfly in the past, and the monarch butterfly is one of very few species of butterflies that migrate. So I think migration patterns have been top of mind for me as something that we could potentially look into. And so his use of migrate here is of course appropriate, but I also think it could be very intentional for that reason.
Yeah, I like that. I actually didn't pick up on that, even though I think about butterfly all the time. I skipped migration. Good catch. I say I will start with also near the beginning of the chapter, the 11th president of the U.S., James Polk. And then it says, awash with annoyance, when he was talking about California being purchased from Mexico for $15 million. Awash with annoyance. It's a Washington clue. Washington State. Because
Oh.
who says awash? Who says awash with annoyance in that context? Seemed out of place to me.
It was super out of place. I went a different direction with that.
Oh, okay. I'd like to hear your perspective.
Well, I am gonna be biased towards Washington, please. So this, I don't really know what to call this category, so I'll read the lines that I felt like kind of fit together. The land that ran along the Pacific shore. So maybe it's like a general water thing.
Okay.
Awash with annoyance. His political theater blew the floodgates of gold speculation wide open.
Nice.
Building a dam to expose the sandy bed surface below. Liquor flowed all around.
Yes.
Spilt back into San Francisco. Uh, while I milled about. I don't know. That one's a stretch. And anything but level-headed. I thought those were maybe kind of something to do with like water level or water mill. I don't know. It talked about like the hydraulic mine. So it just seemed like there was enough references to like water movement that maybe a wash would fit with that.
Yep. Yeah, I like that in combination with all of the terms you just said. I'd found a couple of those, but I didn't put them together. Interesting. So what does that mean? Is it a road trip, a road map marker for the Hoover Dam or another dam, a prominent dam? Because spillway seems certainly dam related. Wash.
Yes, spilt back into San Francisco. A wash with annoyance. Like almost, yeah, like the dam has overflowed or something like that. So I could definitely see there being some sort of either historical event that we're supposed to use as a pinpoint or, yeah, a prominent dam milled about the hydraulic mine. Anyways, some sort of flow of water potentially.
Okay, I like yours. I also flagged the all around because in Joy's Serenade, rather all around. I didn't complete my search of the book for other instances of all around, but I just flagged that because of Joy's Serenade. But I like your more comprehensive approach better than that. Well done.
Well, I also flagged so liquor flowed all around, but then he had also said word and rumors spread out from San Francisco in all directions. That's also all around.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. Okay.
And I think when I first read the out from San Francisco in all directions, I was like, well, that's kind of interesting because like then you're going out into the ocean. And he had talked about, the land that ran along the Pacific shore. But he does talk about people coming by boat, of course, later on. So I think it made it a little less weird, but I do like in all directions when you think about it alongside with all around. Which when we're trying to narrow down directions and places all around is not helpful.
Rather all around.
just anywhere in all directions. Awesome, thank you.
All right. You or me?
Go for it.
All right. I'm going to steal yours. A mass of humanity made up mostly of irrational fortune seekers.
I didn't even write it down. I'm so happy you found it.
Wow. And there was masses as well, talking about all the people going to California. There's 2 instances of your physics /
Double
mass,
physics.
mass theme.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it because of which chapter was that in, where we had the crane their neck up in the Chavain de Juntar? Hoisted up and craned their neck. I liked that because of your physics theme as well. So might be something there.
Hoisted up with a hand.
All right, what have you got?
Okay. Strike. Like flint struck quickly on steel.
Mm-hmm.
All based on a belief they'd strike it rich.
Oh, 2 instances.
And I mean, obviously, the flint struck quickly on steel would be like fire, right? Like starting a fire, and then
Yeah.
that makes sense with the fire references we've had, but more so if we think about it as a greater strike theme, the intro to the whole book with the lightning bolts, the cowboy on a lightning bolt of inspiration. Like, if you think of something that strikes, I would definitely think lightning bolt strikes. Lightning bolt on the magnifying glass. But also with struck quickly on steel, this is definitely a stretch, but in all those part 2 boxes, he's like so specific about the steals in the boxes. Like,
Right.
maybe that somehow comes back as a line share clue in some way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like that. A little bit of research into the Polk quote, the President Polk quote. An abundance of gold, ... of such extraordinary character. I always get fascinated by the ... because what isn't being said or what got removed from that quote. I'll just read it. I don't think it's anything, but for closure, the accounts of the abundance of gold in that territory are of such an extraordinary character. So it was gold in that territory in that territory are. He removed 4 words from that quote for whatever reason, whether to make the words fit in the paragraph or it sounded more confusing. But I almost feel like it sounds more confusing when he removes those quotes. An abundance of gold of such extraordinary character. Why didn't he want the word territory in there?
Yeah. Interesting. That is, I mean, in general, a very good move to go back and look up all the removed words. I like that a lot.
Right. What have you got?
Maybe I will jump on. So you started out with the Polk as 11th president, but then he also says ended to make it our 31st state. So could there be something, is he hinting at numbers maybe referencing states as some sort of directional reference we can be using?
Like that. Like that idea. Some way to use the numbers in all of these chapters.
Yeah, just, I mean, some way to associate a number with a location on a map in the United States.
I like that. Speaking of numbers, JCB mentioning the 11th president, James Polk, was interesting to me. So I tried to find other numbers around that. There was the 15 million directly above that. And then there was the nine somethings directly below that. And I don't remember what the 9 came from. Oh, just 9 days prior to the signing of this California purchase. So we had a 15, an 11, and a 9. I was really hoping to find a 13, so we had a nice little pattern of numbers, but I did not. That was my numerology for the day. Not very successful, other than I was flagged by JCB calling him the 11th president for some reason.
let's get into numbers a little bit more and talk about 90.
Yeah.
So, of course, jumps out because of missing page 90. Within a month, his exclamation had wafted. How do you even say that? Wafted its way 90 miles west to the sleepy port town of San Francisco. So 90 miles west, and then in 1950, 90,000 more joined them.
Yeah, I guess it would be worth doing the measurement from American Creek, American River to San Francisco to see how close that is to 90 miles. And
yeah, you could probably also fact check 90,000 more joined them.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Fact checking required.
I did not do the fact checking. I just wrote it down.
Like flint struck quickly on steel. I know you just did that quote. Marshall's discovery sparked a fever that led to an immense immigration. And I just wanted to flag the immense immigration because they both start with IMM.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just for alliteration purposes, or is there something there? Because the sentence below that then says a mass of humanity made up mostly of irrational fortune seekers, which is an IRR. I'm probably just reading into the words too much, but immense immigration kind of caught my eye as something weird about having those two words next to each other with the IMM.
Well, it seems like there's been this continued thread of there being this alliteration throughout.
100
so because
hamsters.
because of that, I feel like that's more intriguing than it just being like a one-off instance.
Yeah, maybe.
What else? Boat began arriving at the San Francisco port from the closest locations.
Say that one again.
Boat began arriving at the San Francisco port from the closest locations. Like that feels very much like the closest locations. Like that's something we need to be flagging, right?
Yes.
What does that even mean? Like we need to like be thinking about the closest path between something is the like, I don't know.
As the crow flies.
Maybe.
Huh. That is a weird one. I did not flag it.
Yeah, just the closest locations is very out of place, if you ask me.
All right. As if Marshall's voice was being played by the flute of the Pied Piper, hordes of young men from San Francisco began traveling east towards the American River. So just flagging the Pied Piper. We had brought it up in previous chapters that this was coming up. Thinking about it now, I had connected it to that 100 hungry hamsters quote too, which somebody on Reddit had said sounds like the Pied Piper. And now that we're getting that weird wordplay with the IMM, where that 100 hamsters was, is also that weird wordplay page I thought might be of interest. So maybe a small connection there.
Yeah. I didn't think about that too with another than Pied Piper. Oh boy. This way, it's like, how are there only 50 clues in this book, right? It all comes back to the definition of a clue.
Yep.
This I have not revisited since I wrote down. We'll see. I put ascent and descent. So it just seemed like there's kind of a theme of like up and down, high and low. But how did this all go down? Too high a rate. So that was saying like they bought it for too high of a rate. Like, why would you say that instead of it was just too expensive? Descend headlong into the unknown. As more people descended upon the area, the local economy that rose up, conflicts sprang up.
A lot more than I would have guessed are in there.
Yeah, and there could definitely be, it could be nothing. But I think that, but how did it all go down is the biggest indicator of maybe there is something to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit of a genreism almost. It's very modern language. How did it go down? For like a historic recount. It's a good flag. I'll just do the required. It's a place I love when talking about JCB is talking about California. Just because there's been a lot of speculation on how that connects to the past and future box. As a place I loved, past tense, versus California as a place I love in the present tense. But that's part of this chapter 12.
Definitely. Passengers jumped off their transports, then headed east. Transports. Questionable? Like.
Interesting. Because it could be ships, it could be wagons, it could be trains, maybe. I don't know if there's trains on the West Coast at that point. Probably not.
Yeah, like the word, it makes sense, but transports. It just felt weird in the same way that maybe the weirdness of it works with other weird things in the chapter with like from all directions or I don't know. I guess this like the directional aspect of some of the things in this chapter feels like it could potentially fit with transports. I'm not adding anything of value. This is
I don't know.
It just feels weird in that same way, right?
Yeah, it is. It seems too nebulous though. But there was mention of the Transcontinental Railroad, which is a easy thing to put on a map, I would say.
With this chapter, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Like for some reason in this chapter, I just picture like a board game. I have a picture of a board game for some reason, and like I don't even know if I've ever played the game. What's that train game? Ticket to Ride.
Yeah.
I honestly can't say I've ever played Ticket to Ride, but I picture like building train routes out and like that's just what I'm picturing with this language that he's using of like from all directions, transports. It just seems like I can picture it kind of like literally creating this map from San Francisco. Not that that's helpful, but it just feels like that's the vibe of the chapter in some way to be able to create this directional aspect.
Okay, I'll think about that a bit more. Pull out the old Ticket to Ride.
You don't have to.
No, I'm curious where the Transcontinental Railroad ends on the West Coast. I don't remember. I feel like it's much farther south. But if he is saying Transcontinental Railroad, I mean that's the point of the Ticket to Ride is to build railroads across the continent. Don't hate it. I tried it for Past and Future Box that one time, trying to map the 19Os onto the Ticket to Ride board. Some ancient history you're bringing up. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's much more of a feeling than anything actionable. So no action needed, that's for sure.
My last one, you might even discover one when talking about treasure. You might even discover one during a leisurely outing in which you enjoy a picnic with a loved one by your side. A lot of people use that when they find picnic tables near their search locations. They like that one.
Fair enough. I like that too. What else? You said that was your last one?
Yep, I'm all out.
So I just wanted to talk about fortune because we did have the sweet and sour fortune was just something we had been talking about. He made a fortune and irrational fortune seekers. So probably nothing given the nature of this chapter, but thought it was interesting. You might need a really fast gun trigger. Meh. This was kind of unique wording.
Mm-hmm.
The Marketing Spun by Sam Brannon, which is very much our weaving, quilting, sewing theme, whatever you want to call it at this point.
Interesting. Okay.
Our Unbreakable Thread
Mm-hmm.
spun. Drinking. I mean, this probably just goes hand in hand with like the saloon image, but mentions intoxicating, shot, saloon, liquor flowed all around. How that would be helpful, I don't think there's probably much, but what else do I have? Oh, you won't need to schedule rations or stock up on survival kits at the Army Supply Store.
Mm-hmm.
Did that feel out of place to you?
Not really, because that's where he's talking about kind of the gold rush, searching for his treasure. You don't need to. It's going to be not poor conditions like this.
I guess the Army Supply Store is like that specifically just felt.
Yeah, that's where I would get some MREs, meals ready to eat, the rations. That's the direction.
Maybe I'm just not familiar enough with an Army Supply Store. I would never cross my mind to like have anything to do with an Army Supply Store. And I know firsthand and theme. And last but not least, I think we need to call out. I don't believe we should harshly judge, because it kind of fits the same language of in Past and Future Box when he's like, don't. Oh, what's the line?
Don't judge me too harshly.
Yeah, and there was another instance in the book too where he uses something about like harsh judgment, which all feels. I mean, maybe at that point it's just his writing style, but it does feel unique.
Okay.
That is all I've got.
Yeah, I would say I'm not all that satisfied with any super strong themes or connections associated with this chapter. I think it's a lot of piecemeal, in my opinion. I do like your awash interpretation with those connections, though. Maybe that's the theme to pull on.
Yeah, the water was definitely like what I was the most excited about. Does it seem like that kind of crossed or covered little tidbits throughout the chapter as well?
Okay. Well, be sure to capture that on your chapter notes in our Google Doc.
Yes, absolutely. I've been up to date with the chapter notes for sure.
I'm a couple behind. I have them all written. I just need to put them in there. Cool. Well, I think that's an episode. Should we log off?
Yeah, I think my lights have flickered a couple of times, which makes me nervous. So we made it. We made it through the episode.
All right. Very good. Good. Well, we will see you guys next week, and we'll be awaiting Cody's return. Have a good night.
Yes.
Searching for clues.